Hello and welcome to the first ever Norfolk Football Podcast. My name is Matt Carpenter, Football Services Manager here at Norfolk FA, and I am full of a room full of important people. On my left I have Tom Constance, who's Football Services Officer for Competitions.
Hello.
And perhaps even more importantly than Tom, with all due respect, we are also joined by the Chairman of Norfolk FA, Michael Banham, and our Chief Executive, Gavin Lemmon.
Hello, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
As I said, this is our first ever podcast, so Gavin and Michael, your thoughts on this new initiative?
Gavin, if I go first, I'd just like to say congratulations to the marketing team and the football services team for the initiative. Again, Norfolk FA moving forward and coming up with this idea of a podcast. Even though Matt didn't mention the ages earlier, as he did in the pre-run, this is new to me, so this will be exciting moving forward.
That's if we get any listeners.
If we get any listeners.
So that'll be the test. If you're listening, brilliant. You might be the one and only.
This could actually prove to be the last ever Norfolk Football Podcast as well. So let's make the most of it. Also in the room we've got Bryn and Bex from our marketing team. Hopefully they're going to provide us with a bit of technical support should things go horribly wrong. So as much as we'd love to just be sat in a room chatting about football, we are actually here for a purpose. County Cups are underway. This weekend saw our first significant cup action. Saturday we had the Norfolk Junior Cup, and then on Sunday we had, unfortunately, what are the only two adult competitions that we have left on a Sunday morning, the Sunday Senior Cup and the Sunday Junior Cup. So, Tom, how have the cups gone so far this season?
Well, we got off to a good start. We had some very high-scoring games in each competition. No major problems as yet, so a very good start.
Michael, as chairman of the Cup Committee as well as chairman of the organisation, are you happy with what Tom has done so far?
Oh, Tom always does a good job. And stop making me laugh, please. But Tom always does a good job with the cups since he's come into the role. There's been some good high-scoring games over the weekend, and the Junior Cup started off with 89 teams, and we're now moving forward to the first round proper.
Absolutely,
or second round, even as I read the piece of paper.
And as part of this podcast, we will be providing the draws. So the purpose of us being sat here is to do the draw for the Junior Cup and the Sunday Senior and the Sunday Junior. We're trying to do things a little differently this year. As Michael said earlier, as a county, we like to push things forward and do different, shall we say. That's a Norfolk thing, isn't it? So this is one of the things we're trying. So, for example, you may have seen that for the Senior Cup, when we did the first round draw of that, we went to one of our transition festivals at the FTC Open. And Gavin, your thoughts on trying to do things a little bit differently, perhaps, to what we always have done?
Yeah, I think we're just trying to demonstrate that we show our initiative as part of our DNA to be innovative. And we've got that with our staff members. This is just another way. We're hoping that we're going to actually utilise the podcast to do more than just the cup draws. So there'll be other things throughout the year where we'll utilise this platform to see where we can get the message out to more and more people.
Fantastic. So we are trailblazing today then. How exciting is that? Okay, so let's look at the competitions. We'll do the Junior Cup first as the Saturday Cup. So there were a lot of games played at the weekend, as I said earlier. Tom, do you want to just maybe pick out one or two of the matches that sort of particularly caught your eye in terms of perhaps some big results, or maybe what could be considered as upsets at this stage of the season?
Well, we had a couple of 8-3, so 80 Mill Lane played Narborough and won 8-3, and I can't remember the other one now. Belson beat Hickling, but most notably is probably Dussondale Rovers winning comfortably against Norwich Medics by 10 goals to 0, so that's probably the highlight.
So Dussondale, of course, the holders of the competition after a fantastic win at Carrow Road last season, when perhaps many would have considered them to be the underdogs in terms of their league placings. Michael, do you think Dussondale might have a good run all the way through again this season based on those results?
Well, looking at Norwich Medics in the past, they've never had a poor team, so they must have a decent side for this season. So who knows? Who knows? It's going to get harder, obviously, as they go through. But they surprised us last year. Maybe not surprised themselves, but they've done very well at Carrow Road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think although they did potentially come into that tie as underdogs, I don't think there's any doubt there's deserved winners there. So, Gavin, is there anything you can pick up perhaps from the games that got played this weekend before we move on to the draw?
Yeah, well, I always look at the ties that go to penalties. So we had a couple in the Junior Cup. We had Snettisham versus Swaffham Town Reserves. That was 2-2 after extra time, and we also had Thetford Town Reserves versus Helston FC Reserves, which is 1-1 after 120 minutes were played. So obviously competitive ties. Actually there's a third one thrown in there. Sorry, Aylsham Reserves and Hunstanton. Hunstanton No, that didn't go to the pens, Chairman. It just went to extra time. So thanks for that.
I was just literally pointing out that went to extra time.
I was talking about pens, was I not?
Yeah, but I moved on from pens. It went to extra time.
What this podcast will show over the weeks when me and Michael get together as Chairman and Chief Executive, we often disagree. So you'll find throughout the time where we're discussing matters that there'll be what is probably classed as bickering. So that will be a common theme.
Bickering or banter?
Bickering.
Bickering, okay.
Definitely bickering. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it.
Do we always come out on top though?
Can I just say
no comment?
Yeah, it's good that this is a podcast and not a video at this point, so that's good. Okay, so that's what happened this weekend. So I think now is the appropriate time to move on to the draw for the second round, which was taking place within the office earlier today. So I will read out the ties. We've got 64 teams left in the competition, so 32 ties. So bear with me because this could take a moment or two. So we have Wyndham Town Reserves will play Birchwood. Holt United versus Bradenham Wanderers Reserves. East Ruston will host Norton Athletic. Hingham Athletic versus Freethorpe. Snettisham versus Hempnall. Great Yarmouth Town Reserves will play Horsford United. AC Mill Lane will play Norwich Eagles. South Reps will host Poringland Wanderers. Hunstanton will take on Castle Acre Swifts. Ersham will host Skull United Reserves. It's Gimmingham United versus AFC Lynn Napier. Rockland United versus Terrington Tigers Youth. Necton versus Cromer Adult and Youth. Blowfield United Reserves versus Helston Reserves. The holders Dussendale have been given a home tie against Caister Reserves. And then we have Watton United Reserves will play Cossey Sports. That's the halfway point in the draw. Carrying on, Stalham Town Reserves will host Acle United Reserves. Sprowston Athletic will play Eastern Reserves. Briston will host Buxton. Dereham Taverners will play UEA Reserves. Denver host Reefham Town Reserves. It's East Harling Reserves versus Harleston Town Reserves. Gayton United versus AFC Walpole. Long Stratton Reserves versus Attleborough Town Reserves. Cromer Town will host Longham. South Walsham versus Erpingham United. Dersingham Rovers versus Hopton. Yelverton Reserves versus North Walsham Town Reserves. Galston Reserves will play Belton. Norwich CEYMS Reserves host ProStar Windows. Mattershall Reserves take on Heacham. And last but by no means least, we have Wells Town who will play Martham. And those ties will be played on Saturday the 13th of October. This could now go down as being one of the longest podcasts in history due to the length of that draw. But gentlemen, your thoughts?
Yeah, some good ties there. Few spring to mind. I always look for the potential geographical derbies. I picked up on a South Norfolk one where Long Stratton reserves against Attleborough reserves. I always think the derbies are the ones that show real interest in the cup competitions, and also the ones where you've got a fair distance to travel as well. So sides are playing against sides potentially that they've never played against before, but they're the ones that stuck out to me. Tom, what do you think?
Well, the ones that jump out to me are Galston Reserves against Belton, it's a local derby. Wellesby Martham, I believe they're in the same division in the ANCOM. And as Gavin mentioned, long trips. Dersingham v Rose v Hopton is a fairly long one for Hopton.
I think on the bottom of the first page I have in front of me, we've got Cromer against Longham. So, Michael, that's a senior, or top of the junior, I should say, not a senior team, obviously, in the Junior Cup. But they're in Division 2 of the Anglian combination, and obviously Longham are a strong team in the Central and South Norfolk League. So that could be an interesting one, perhaps.
Definitely, and appreciate what Longham did at the weekend by inviting Stephen Body's daughter along to the game and made us feel very special. So that was a good thing for them. I always look at the draw and look at the teams I used to play for. So Acle United Reserves drawn away at Stalham, and South Walsham drawn at home to Erping. So I'll always like to follow them. Plus the teams that used to be in the Norwich Business Housing League or the Norwich District Setting League, which is Norwich Eagles, Yelverton, Dussendale, and so on. So yeah, it's a good draw. It's a good draw.
And I think it's hugely appropriate that you bring up Stephen Body, who was a massively respected referee in the local game, and I don't think I've ever seen, from our point of view, any social media tweets that we've done that have had quite such a powerful response on social media, both from clubs, players, officials. He really brought the game together, massively respected, and he will be a sad loss to Norfolk football for sure. Okay, that's the Junior Cup draw then. Other competitions that got played this weekend then, so let's move on to the Sundays. Unfortunately, we've lost the Sunday Intermediate Cup the season before last just due to the number of teams involved, but we still have two very prestigious competitions in the Sunday Senior and the Sunday Junior. Less games played in this at the weekend just due to the nature of the ties and the fact there were buys involved. But again, there were still some quite exciting matches with some big scores involved. Gavin?
Yeah, obviously the headline one was the 19-0 for England's Hope against West Lynn. So they're obviously a strong outfit for this season and will hopefully fly the flag for West Norfolk alongside their other senior teams that are entered the competition. There was only the 5 fixtures that lead us into this week, and that was the standout one. Riverside were the next highest scoring side with a 7-1 victory over Windmill Wanderers and a couple of tight ones, 3-2 win for Horsford and a 3-2 win for Middle Green. And then the final one going to penalties, my favourite, with Barracks winning 6-5 after drawing 3-3 against Gorson Rangers. So a bit of a shock one, that one, because Gorson Rangers can sometimes do quite well in the Sunday season.
You can't beat the drama of a penalty shooter on a Sunday morning, can you, Tom? Just in terms of that, just very quickly before we move on to the draws for the next round, Tom, obviously there's been some changes this season with regards to the technology behind the system and full time and all of that. Mm-hmm. How are clubs in terms of getting results in this weekend? Did everything go smoothly for you?
Every club's brilliant this weekend. Texts were in on time. I think I only had to wait for one for the Sunday morning ones and one in the Junior Cup. But yeah, the system has worked perfectly so far.
So you're a happy bunny?
I very am.
Excellent, fantastic. Okay, so once again the draws were done earlier today, so we'll now move on to the draw for the Sunday Senior Cup. This time we've actually got 15 ties, although we always even the numbers up by buys in the first round. We have had a team withdraw subsequent to that first round draw being done. So we do actually have one buy in this, which I will come to. So if you're still listening and you wonder where your name is right at the end, you will be that team. So tie 1 sees Phoenix host El Sol. We then have Woolpack versus Southerly ASA. Heatherset Athletic versus Poor England Wanderers. Windmill versus Farmhouse. West Winch William Burke will play Acle Rangers. The Middle Green play Brook. Hewitt Old Boys host Schoolhouse. Marlborough will play Riverside Rovers. True Traders will play Barracks. Inglesthorpe will play CSKA Emneth. England's Hope will host Aslacton and Great Malton. We then have Great Yarmouth Dynamo versus Sholdham. Mischief versus Trimming Pilgrims. Drayton Dazzlers versus Chilvers, and the 15th tie sees Mad Moose Athletic play Vale Longer. So the one name missing from that was Horsford, who are the team that were fortunate enough to get the draw. Windmill, obviously the holders, Michael, at home to Farmhouse of Norwich and District Sunday League. I guess they'll be glad to have a home tie.
I think they would be, yeah. They're going to be probably strong again this year. And let's hope the march to Carrow Road, if possible, sees them there again, I suppose, if you could say.
Tom, what caught your eye in that particular draw?
The one that stood out for me is Hewitt Old Boys Schoolhouse. Hewitt Old Boys had a good season last year. Got to the Sunday Intermediate Cup final the season before. So they'll be a strong team. And Schoolhouse, they won it back-to-back a couple of years ago. So yeah, they'll be strong. That'll be a very good game.
Should be a good one, that one. Gavin, anything that caught your eye?
Drayton Dazzlers, Chilvers.
Simple as that.
Yeah, that's the one. Drayton Dazzlers now using the FCC Open Academy as their home ground. I think they're quite a young side, like to play football, so I think that's the reason why they moved to play on the all-weather pitch. And Chilvers are normally a strong outfit from Kings Lynn, so I'd expect that'll be the tie that I go visit.
Excellent. Should be a good game, that one. Chilvers, as you say, a strong side. Drayton, I'm sure, will be looking forward to that. Okay, the last bit of action we've got to do on today's podcast then is the Sunday Junior Cup draw. So now we have 16 ties in this. There was just one game that wasn't played yesterday, which is Ashfield against Norman Wanderers A, which will be dealt with by our cup committee at some point this week. But as it stands, both teams are in the draw. And we have Ashhill or Norman Wanderers A versus MC Rovers. Newsman Celtic will play Old Catton under-19s. Helston versus East Tuddenham. AFC Norwich versus Morbarton Wanderers. Ersham versus Easton. April Rangers Reserves will play Dynamo. AG Athletic host Rackheath Rangers. Eton play Norfolk Terrier. Nelson's Athletic will play Aylsham. Silver Fox host FC Viking. You've got Wootton United playing Watton United. Moose Park Rangers will play Danepack. DCS Rapid versus Sporting Iceni. Heatherset Athletic Reserves are at home to Cherry Tree. Hempdale will play Yelverton. And finally we have Salhouse Rovers versus Holt United. Thoughts on that one, Tom? Some interesting team names, if nothing else.
Very interesting teams. I'll probably say Hempdale Yelverton, that's a fairly local derby. And then obviously Aylsham as the holders playing Nelson Athletics, so they're probably the two.
Okay, and finally, with time now running away from us a bit, Gavin, just your quick thoughts on that draw?
Yeah, I was just going to read out Wootton United versus Watton United. The mouthful that you had, I think it came out more like Wootton from the King's Lynn. So
I think it is pronounced Wootton, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
I could be
Wootton or
I could be wrong. No, I think it is pronounced Wootton. I might be wrong. You know what Norfolk is like. We'll have Ingolder's Thoughts and Costettis and Wyndhams at some point.
Hampton
indeed, was it?
Yeah, we'll take it either way, but it is definitely Woodton or Wootton United versus Watton United. And those particular ties are all going to be played on Sunday the 14th of October, so that applies to both the Sunday Junior and the Sunday Senior. Okay, that pretty much brings us to the end of our first ever podcast. Michael, as chairman, I'll let you have the closing word on how you think things are gone and where we go from here.
Well, that was quite different, I would say. Very exciting, slightly different to what we've done in the past. And as you said earlier on, good editing to the marketing team to come up with 15 minutes, because I'm sure that must be a lot longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah,
But that was brilliant. Thank you very much to everybody involved.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all.